Did you guys miss me? Actually, I haven't done this in a while. Let's see if I remember how to do it. What's going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz'S, Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check. Happy New Year, happy late holidays, happy all that stuff that I missed on my December, my month off that I was doing there. First of all, obviously, as I say, Merry Christmas to those of you that celebrated it. Happy Hanukkah, etc., etc. Happy New Year. Big thank you to all of you, especially those of you on Facebook that know that it's also my birthday at the end of December. A lot of you sent me a lot of birthday wishes. That's always the case. It's funny when you watch Facebook because it alerts everybody that it's your birthday, rah. But as I have friends and viewers of this great channel all over the world, it's funny to see when exactly all those wishes came in. Some of them came in a day before, some of them came in a day after. Went on from there. Always cool. Thank you. That's always a very cool thing. I got to do a few things. Got to do a Google Hangout with Wrestling Jesus and a bunch of his buddies. So thank you guys for that. Got a bunch of positive feedback and promotion from the guys and gals over at the Bear Hug It Out podcast. So thank you for that as well. I'm going to be doing a sort of a shout-out video sometime by the end of January, sort of different channels and different podcasts that I think you guys should check out, because I think something like that is long overdue. As you will have seen, just before this video is my slideshow from hashtag WWE Toronto, which I went to on the 30th with my... most of you guys that have been watching for a while now know that when the house shows come to Toronto, I go with my sister-in-law and her boyfriend, and the three of us just go and have a great time. It was good. I mean, it was a house show, so no titles changed hands, but we got to see Ambrose versus Owens, which was great. We got to see Charlotte versus Becky, which was the match of the night. Becky Lynch was fucking phenomenal. Loud, take a shower chants for Luke Harper. The entire Wyatt family except Bray. Kinda shit, that one, isn't it? Miz versus Neville was kind of cool. There was some good. There was a lot of 6-man tags. But it was a house show. But here's the exciting thing for me. For any of you out there that have the WWE Network, the next WWE Network special will be a special called March to WrestleMania, and it's happening. Oh yeah, in March in Toronto, and I will be there. So you'll get another slideshow and highlights from me for that. So I thought that was kind of cool. I've bitched and moaned for a long time now that there hasn't been a Raw or a SmackDown or, God forbid, a pay-per-view in my neck of the woods in a long time. The last time I went to a pay-per-view, as most of you know, was in Boston with my good friend and former co-host Steffi Sunshine, and we got to see Survivor Series 2013. Yeah, but it'll be cool. I will be doing that in March. Any of you... And I know I just mentioned, you know, how great it is to talk to people all over the world. Any of you in the Toronto area or in the Southern Ontario area that are going to the March to WrestleMania show in Toronto at the Ricoh Coliseum, hit me up. Let me know. I would love to come and start interacting with you guys if we happen to be in common events and such and such. As I say, had the month off, got called into a call with Matt from In the Rope Show, got called into a call, like I say, with Wrestling Jesus, where I, without really intending to, got into a debate about Preston and Alex, and Nutty Rock Chick was involved in that, and if you really want to see that, I think it's still on Wrestling Jesus' channel, but... be that as it may, spend most of my time, you know, doing the holiday stuff in my free time, just taking random brainstorm notes for this video. So almost 4 minutes into this video, we're going to get into the bulk of this video, which is my Fantasy WrestleMania 32 card. Now, this is with anybody that could realistically be involved in the show right now. So I'm not grabbing ROH and TNA guys, or guys from the Indies, or guys from Japan, or guys that are dead, no offense, or retired, or anything like that. Trying to, for the most part, stick with guys that are either on the roster right now, could realistically be debuting soon, or could realistically be returning soon. Now, this is just going to be a ramble. This is not any big pomp and circumstance production. You guys know my videos are mostly me just sitting here with a camera in front of my face having a conversation with you guys. So this is going to be a bit of a ramble, because a lot of the stories involved in my Fantasy WrestleMania are intertwined. So if I ramble in this video, I'm apologizing in advance. That being said, there's a couple of things you have to sort of accept in your head, fantasy-wise, to make my booking of this WrestleMania work. Number one, Kevin Owens is winning the Royal Rumble. Number two, a lot of the matches are going to be spurned from the rivalry between the Authority and Roman Reigns, who will still be the champion, and we will get there when we get there. You will have to understand as well that there is a NXT pay-per-view happening on the Friday of WrestleMania weekend. The way I've set things up is, or the way I've set my stories up here, is all of those matches at the NXT pay-per-view have direct impact on the WrestleMania card because NXT is a huge part of my WrestleMania card. If you don't like any of those factors, you don't like any of those instances the way I've laid them out, I understand that. Like I say, these are just the frameworks to make this story, make my fantasy WrestleMania work. As I say, at the end of the day, this is not me saying that any of this is going to happen. This is literally, hey, Spaz, here's the booking book. What would you do for WrestleMania? And this is, I think I've come up with some pretty cool shit here. On the pre-show, there would be two matches. On the pre-show, the first match, and I know a lot of people will sneer at this, the first match is Fandango versus Tyler Breeze. Now, how I would come about this is this. Tyler Breeze, I mean, Fandango's pretty much in obscurity right now anyway, so you can really do whatever you want with him. Breeze goes on a huge losing streak. Breeze goes on a massive losing, which he's kind of already on. So he just starts, he goes into this apoplectic state where he's blaming everybody but himself. He's blaming his opponents for cheating. He's blaming the announcers for distracting him. He's blaming the people that didn't set up his VIP section problem. He's blaming the referee for being incompetent. He's blaming the fans. He finally turns his attention on Summer Rae and starts berating Summer Rae. And he looks like, I mean, it's not going to happen in a PG era, but looks like he's going to raise a hand to Summer Rae. And the save is made by Fandango, but not in any, like, he doesn't tap dance out there or anything like that. He just comes out sort of like, you know, for lack of a better term, man-to-man, grabs the microphone, cuts a little bit of a helpful promo. He doesn't, you know, grab the girl and run. He doesn't, you know, berate him for what he was about to do to Summer, although he does stand between them. What he does is he gives him a little speech as, you know, a guy just coming up from NXT. Look, when I came up from NXT, I was this goofy gimmick, nobody liked me, rah-rah-rah-rah. I got angry for a while, da-da-da-da, didn't help me at all, and I've calmed down, I've, you know, done this, that, and the next thing, and you will go on moving forward, but you're not going to get anywhere blaming everybody else but yourself. Look at what you're doing and change yourself. Obviously, it doesn't work. There's a big brawl. It's a low-card feud, I will admit, and I know a lot of people that are fans of Tyler Breeze won't like it being that low on the pre-show, but it is what it is. They could have a great match. Fandango, as I've said a million times on this channel, is underrated as a wrestler. The gimmick sucks. Let's be real. I mean, you can choose to have fun with it, which is what I do, but the same thing can be said for Tyler Breeze, but both of these guys can go in the ring. And I think this match really could surprise us if it was given the proper time. Obviously, the caveat to all of this is they would come out at WrestleMania, and much like Fandango's match with Chris Jericho when he debuted, he would have a whole bunch of dancers out there with him, but they would be led. The head dancer of Fandango's entourage would be Summer Rae, and that would hammer home that the heel lost his girl, and we would go from there. Sticking with what seems to be the new classic, we would have the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, but we would have a couple of superstars from NXT, whoever's not doing anything at the time, really, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but we want everybody to have something to do. So every NXT star that isn't involved in a feud, isn't involved in a match at the NXT pay-per-view would sort of storm Raw. This wouldn't be an invasion, per se. This wouldn't be, you know, NXT versus WWE. They come out there, they make a statement, we want to be part of WrestleMania, let us be part of the Battle Royal. The Authority, because the Authority occasionally does babyface stuff, the Authority tells them that you can have 15 of your best, 15 of our best, because it's the Andre the Giant 30-man Battle Royal. If an NXT guy wins the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, on the pre-show, they get a main roster spot. So they do this. NXT does in fact win the Battle Royal, and I would have the winner be Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn goes to the main roster, goes on to feud with Kevin Owens after WrestleMania. Now going into the main show. The first match is Jordan and Gable versus Enzo and Cass for the vacant NXT Tag Team Championships. Now, how I would build this up. The mechanics, I guess they're being called still, although they're not called that on TV, would continue the rivalry that they have with Enzo and Cass, continuously causing them injuries, continuously letting them get just this close to the title, and then stopping. Jordan and Gable, their popularity is skyrocketing. They would want their shot at the title. They would have on NXT, they would have a best of 5 series with Enzo and Cass, get the better of them. They would get a title shot, and then same thing, lather, rinse, repeat, that would happen with Enzo and Cass would happen with Jordan and Gable. They would get just this close, get beaten down, just this close, beaten down. And Enzo and Cass and Jordan and Gable would be sort of neck and neck, and what William Regal would decide was there would be a 3-way elimination tag team match at the TakeOver pay-per-view for the tag team championships. So elimination rules, so the last team standing wins. So Enzo, Cass, Jordan, and Gable would 4-on-2 attack the heels, make sure that Dash and Dawson are not a factor. They would eliminate Dash and Dawson. So Dash and Dawson would no longer be the tag team champions, and then they could get into a respectful match between the two babyface tag teams. Well, Dash and Dawson would then come back. They would fuck up the end of the match. They would skip, because once it gets down to a one-on-one match, you know, pinfalls, submission, countout, or disqualification, well, they would attack both teams, so that both teams would be disqualified. It would be a draw, per se. Now, William Regal would have to decide at that point that there's a draw. No team is really the champions. Gable and Jordan and Enzo and Cass would have equal claim to that title, because the only team actually eliminated would be Dash and Dawson. So Dash and Dawson would lose the titles even though there were no new champions. And this would be the babyface versus babyface match that we would see as the opening match of WrestleMania. Chad Gable, Jason Jordan versus Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy. The crowd for both of these guys would go nuts. We know the creative stuff that they came up with for Jordan and Gable at the TakeOver London show, which was amazing. And we all know that Enzo and Cass are the new age outlaws, where they have the opening gimmick, the opening spiel that they do, that the crowd joins in. 105,000 people strong for both of those teams, where you'd have a very split crowd, would be a very cool atmosphere to start off the show. The next would be a fatal 4-way match for the NXT Women's Championship. Bayley versus Alexa Bliss versus Asuka versus Emma. Because what would happen at the NXT show would be we would have a respect match between Bayley and Asuka for the NXT Women's Championship, and we would have a #1 contenders match for that title between Alexa Bliss and Emma. Now, Alexa Bliss would come out with Blake and Murphy, unfortunately, because they kind of suck. Emma would come out with Dana Brooke, who doesn't hurt my feelings whatsoever. Now, Dana Brooke would get involved, and Blake and Murphy would get involved, and Emma would try to cheat, and Bliss would try to cheat. Now, this would be heel versus heel, doesn't always work, but what I would really want these two to do in this match would be sort of to out-cheat each other. Not nearly on the same level, but imagine sort of a lie, cheat, steal Eddie Guerrero versus dirtiest player in the game, Ric Flair. That kind of thing. I would want to create that kind of vibe between these two ladies up until the point where Blake, Murphy, and Dana Brooke all get involved and the referee throws the match out. So they're both pissed off. Neither one of them is the #1 contender. They've both been disqualified. Neither one of them won. Neither one of them lost. Bayley and Asuka would put on a clinic. That's a thing. The abilities of Asuka and the overwhelming fan support for Bayley would make this. This should be the main event of the TakeOver. Is my honest to God opinion. But they would get jumped by the two prospective new #1 contenders, and there'd be no winner declared there either words. So Regal would have to sit there and say, look, I promised the WWE brass that NXT would give them a women's title match. The only thing I have left to do, because nobody lost their matches, everybody got DQ'd. So throw them all in there. Fatal 4-way, no rules. These 4 girls go out there, kill it on the WrestleMania stage. Can't get any better than that. The NXT Championship at WrestleMania would be decided between Finn Balor and James Storm. Balor would continue his feud with Joe. He would go into a no DQ match at TakeOver with Joe, which would be brutal. He would still come out on top. #1 contender would be decided in a battle royal that would be won by James Storm. For this, actually, honestly, for this to work, I would rather James Storm hadn't debuted yet. I would rather James Storm be the last surprise entrant in that battle royal to come in there, win it all, and stare down Finn Balor to close the show. Now, I do this for a couple of reasons, because a battle royal is one guy becoming superior over a lot of guys. So you don't want to create a scenario where James Storm's been more beaten down than Finn Balor. This is why I have Finn Balor defending against Samoa Joe in a hardcore match, or not a hardcore match, but a no disqualification, false count anywhere type scenario, because we know that a wrecking ball like Joe would batter Finn Balor, and he would literally be the gritty champion that's scraped by the grit of his teeth, which is great. So they both go weathered into WrestleMania. And let's be real for a moment, the minute we all saw Demon Finn Balor, we said, oh shit, what's that gonna look like at WrestleMania? So Finn Balor versus James Storm is the last of the NXT contributions for this show. So for NXT, you've got Finn Balor. So you've got I can speak. I swear. Really? Come on now. There we go. So we've got Sami Zayn defending the name of NXT in the Battle Royal. We've got the Fatal 4-Way for the women's title. We've got the tag team titles up for grabs in a vacant spot, and we've got two big names like Finn Balor and James Storm. All of this happening on the WrestleMania stage in front of 105,000 people at AT&T Stadium. It's all good. Bray Wyatt versus Luke Harper. Now, to understand this, you have to understand what I'm going to be doing at Royal Rumble in Fastlane. Bray Wyatt will come out, as he does, and randomly pick a new victim. He will make everybody think he's gone absolutely batshit crazy when he calls out Brock Lesnar. He will call out Brock Lesnar. It will be Bray Wyatt versus Brock Lesnar at the Royal Rumble. He will get destroyed by Brock Lesnar. And I know everybody's saying, oh, you're burying Bray Wyatt. That's okay. Cool. Listen to me for a second. Because Brock Lesnar will mow through the entire Wyatt family. Bray Wyatt will, the next night, blame the Wyatt family. He will blame his brothers. He will blame Strowman and Rowan and Harper, and he will blame everybody but himself, kind of like the Tyler Breeze thing, but not quite the same. Make them question whether they belong in the family or not, etc., etc., etc. Now, this is where the Roman Reigns story kind of kicks in. Triple H will approach Bray Wyatt and say, and entice him with, hey, you can be in line with the authority if you do us a little bit of a favor. Because there's going to be at Fastlane a 4-on-4 match. This is Triple H's sort of last punishment of Roman Reigns and his family before WrestleMania, is that they have to take on the Wyatt family in a 4-on-4 Survivor Series style match, and each member of Roman Reigns' family will have various things on the line that I will get to later on in the booking, but they will go into this. The Usos and Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns will reign absolutely supreme over the Wyatts, and he will come out once again a defeated man at on the next Monday Night's Raw after Fastlane. He will turn on his brothers. And this is where the group will split. Bray Wyatt will have Braun Strowman, because Braun Strowman's kind of out there and kind of brain dead and whatever. He will still blindly follow Bray Wyatt. The other two, Luke Harper and Eric Rowan, who know that they can succeed on their own because they've already done it, will split off. As a trophy to his master, Braun Strowman will take out Eric Rowan. In response to that, Luke Harper will challenge Bray Wyatt. He'll come out and cut some sort of wicked-ass promo. He says, you know what, you brought this family together, but Eric Rowan was more my brother than you two were. You thought you could make a statement by taking him out. Bray, I want you at WrestleMania. I want you in a no disqualification stipulation, and go ahead and bring Braun Strowman if you want to. You have Bray Wyatt with Braun Strowman in his corner versus an ascending Luke Harper in a no disqualification type brawl situation, and I think it could be great. Obviously, something would happen where Braun Strowman would be taken out of the equation somewhere in the match. It would get down to Luke Harper and Bray Wyatt. It will give us, obviously, a little bit of a chance for Bray Wyatt to redeem himself after losing 2 straight pay-per-views, but also it will highlight Luke Harper as an individual wrestler. I think the match would be great. I really don't care who wins, quite honestly. As long as by the time the match ends, Braun Strowman is out of the equation, and there is a definite winner based on what the two of them have done in the ring. Because Braun Strowman needs to be an aspect at the beginning, but then be gone, if that makes sense. For the United States Championship, I have Alberto Del Rio versus Kalisto versus Sin Cara. Now, how do we get here? Kalisto and Sin Cara are one of the most popular tag teams in the WWE right now. Alberto Del Rio, his return, as we've all already mentioned at some point, has been a little lackluster. He's the United States champion and nobody really cares. He's been lumped in with the League of Nations. Nobody really cares. So he goes out purposely to find something that's going to put him back in the spotlight. So what does he do? He sits back and he watches who's popular, who gets the spotlight, who gets the cheers, who has everybody's attention. He sees the Lucha Dragons. He sees the Lucha Dragons, and he sees Kalisto win his Oh My God Slammy a couple weeks ago on Raw. Now we go into a scenario where Kalisto has more highlight on him than Sin Cara does. People start whispering about whether Sin Cara is the Jannetty of the team. Alberto Del Rio comes out constantly mocking Sin Cara. Kalisto, obviously because it's his partner, tries to make him feel better. Hey, you know, I was just in the right spot at the right time. That's the only reason I got a Slammy. Rah. Alberto Del Rio confronts Sin Cara in such a way that, look, I know you're such a loser that I will fight you right now and put my title on the line. He will defeat Sin Cara. But he says, okay, look, I just beat you. Now I'll give your partner a shot at the title. Now let's see where that goes. He goes into a match with Kalisto the next week on Raw. The Kalisto almost wins, but the vengeful, jealous, human turn of Sin Cara clicks in right about there. Sin Cara costs his partner a shot at the United States Championship and Alberto Del Rio. Now, they have a match the next night on the following week on Raw. Sin Cara beats Kalisto. Kalisto, who was robbed of his title shot. So you've got Kalisto, who's technically still the #1 contender, but Sin Cara, who has now beaten the #1 contender. So the only way to fix that is a triple threat match. That would be set up for WrestleMania between the three of them. I mean, Alberto Del Rio could still be mocking their heritage, and, you know, I used to come from where you guys come from. I used to hide behind a mask, and rah, now I'm proud to show my face. And, you know, with the luchadors, that's always something you can throw in there, just, you know, mock the heritage and all that sort of thing. But I don't even think you would necessarily need a triple threat match between these three, and I think it'll be a great showcase for Sin Cara and Kalisto, but it will be a really good way also to elevate Alberto Del Rio because his return, let's be real, has been a little lackluster. Ambrose versus Ziggler for the Intercontinental Championship. Now, Ambrose has the Intercontinental Championship. He loses it to, like, there's a lot of clusterfuck between Ziggler, Ambrose, and Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens costs costs Ambrose the Intercontinental Championship on Raw so that Ziggler has it. Ziggler doesn't want it because he got it the wrong way. Rah. The three of them keep battling. Now, we get to the Royal Rumble where you've got two guys in Ambrose and Ziggler who are both trying to be good guys, but they're killing each other trying to get to Kevin Owens, because Kevin Owens is the one, he's been the bane of both of their existence for a long time, and you got both of them saying to the other, no, leave him to me, he's all mine. Ambrose would eventually get his Intercontinental Championship back. Owens would win the Royal Rumble. Owens would laugh at both of them and say, fuck it, you can have the Intercontinental title, I'm going off to bigger and better things. But there's still so much leftover resentment between the other two that they still want to battle over the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania. So Ambrose will defend his title against Dolph Ziggler at WrestleMania. But to get to WrestleMania, he has to survive the 4-on-4 match that Triple H sets up between the Wyatt family and Roman's family, because one of the stipulations that will be put on that match is that the Intercontinental title will be stripped of Dean Ambrose if Roman Reigns' family doesn't win. Obviously, Roman Reigns' family does win. He keeps his title. He defends it at WrestleMania against Dolph Ziggler, who bumps around for him like a rag doll. And once again, I want to see the match. I really don't care who the winner is. Probably one of the most controversial matches on this card. and one that will make my buddy James incredibly happy. By the way, go check out James Fear the Spear 1990 on YouTube. He deserves it. You guys should go check him out. Is John Cena versus The Undertaker. And I know, groan all you want. I will give you a couple seconds right here, right now. But there is a benefit to all of us. Even those of you that don't want to see this match, there is a benefit. I would not have had John Cena come back last week on Raw. I would have saved John Cena for the Rumble. It would have been announced previous to the Rumble that John Cena would be entering number 1. We wouldn't have seen him. It would just be like in the promotional material. He would come out number 1 in the Rumble. We would have, I don't know, Tony Chimmel or Lillian Garcia, or do the spiel for those of us that don't know what the Rumble is, and they do the big long rambling explanation. And John Cena would come in at number 1, but he wouldn't compete. He would say how good it is to be back. He would give a typical John Cena speech. He would run down all his accomplishments and say, you know what, as much as the Royal Rumble means something to me, and as much as getting that title means something to me, and as much as tying Ric Flair's record means something to me, something else means more, and it's something I've never done. He calls The Undertaker to the ring, says that he will forfeit his spot in the Royal Rumble if Undertaker will agree to face him at WrestleMania. And they go from there. They build a big respect thing, and John Cena goes and fights Undertaker at WrestleMania with no real other further explanation. And I only say that because there's never really any explanation. It's like, okay, Taker's back, he's fighting so-and-so, let's get excited about it. So I haven't put much thought into the reasoning and the booking behind this, because that's the nature of an Undertaker WrestleMania feud. So I hope you guys get that. Here's what it does. It gives John Cena's a big name in the WWE. You can't put him in a small match. Whatever he's in is going to be big. It's one of the few things that he actually literally hasn't done. It keeps him out of the main event scene. It keeps him out of any title pictures. So at least if you don't want to see the match, take solace in the fact that he's not leaving with any gold that night. And it's not like he's going to be the one to take the Undertaker's streak, because that went to Brock Lesnar. For the Divas Championship, I have Becky Lynch versus Sasha Banks versus Paige versus the returning Nikki Bella. Now, how do we get here? We've got already a situation where all the other divas are kind of floundering, and right now the big story is Charlotte being sort of condescending to her friend Becky, doing all these wrong things, helping Becky win the wrong ways. Becky finally gets sick of it and calls out Charlotte's shit. This is kind of actually what happened at the house show that I was at, where it's like, hey friend, I'm going to take you up on your challenge. You got a problem with that? Because obviously she's been talking down to her, etc., etc., etc. Now, Becky gets sick of Charlotte's shit. They have a submission match at the Royal Rumble. Becky gets Charlotte to submit in the, what do you call it, the disarmor. Which is great. Becky's the new champion. That's fucking fantastic. Now, something else that happens is something that I've wanted to happen for a long time, and something that I think should happen, especially with the respect that the Divas are getting now. The Divas should have their own mini Rumble at the Royal Rumble for the same thing that the main Royal Rumble is for. The main Royal Rumble, you get a shot at the WWE Championship. You win the Divas Royal Rumble, you get a shot at the Divas Championship. It's a very simple concept, right? So we would have all the active divas on the roster, and we would see eliminated one by one Alicia Fox, Brie Bella, Cameron, Naomi, Eva Marie, Natalia, Emma, Rosa Mendes, Summer Rae, Tamina, Peyton Royce, Nia Jax, Alexa Bliss, Asuka, Bayley, Billie Kay, Carmella, Dana Brooke, and Dasha Fuentes. The last two, because Becky Lynch wouldn't be in it. She's the champion. Charlotte wouldn't be in it because she's the one that just lost, and I would have her selling an arm injury to really make Becky Lynch look good. Say she popped it out of socket or something like that. The last two left in the ring are Paige and Sasha Banks, until the last entrant in the women's Royal Rumble is the returning Nikki Bella, who sneaks in the back door because she's a heel and tries to double clothesline both Paige and Sasha out. In the process, she would also take herself out. We would have a triple elimination, which is kind of like the Lex Luger, Bret Hart, or what is it? Whoever it was that eliminated themselves at the same time, it's a tie, rah-de-rah-de-rah. So you've got Becky Lynch as the champion with her 3 challengers, Sasha Banks, Paige, and Nikki Bella, going forward. For those of you that wonder, somebody asked me the other day who I think the new 4 horsemen are, because some of them came up to the main roster, some of them are still in NXT. The 2 matches that I've set up for the women here are my 2 answers to who the 4 horsewomen are of their respective divisions. On NXT, you've got Bayley, Asuka, Hot Heel Emma, and Bayley, Asuka. My memory sucks, guys. Bayley, Asuka, Emma, and Alexa Bliss. There we go. And on the main roster, my 4 favorites right now are Becky, Sasha, Paige, and Nikki. So that's how I would get them to the dance. Charlotte has no character, so she can kindly fuck off. We have, for the WWE Undisputed Tag Team Championships, the Usos in a 2-on-3 best of 3 falls championship match against the New Day. The story here is very, very simple. The Usos would sort of solidify their rivalry with the New Day. The Authority would toy with them a lot. The Authority would always say in a non-title match, hey, New Day, let them win. Let them win, because every time they beat you, they become the #1 contenders. And every time they get a title shot, we'll fuck them. We'll make them the #1 contenders and fuck them. We'll make them the #1 contenders and fuck them. And then finally, Triple H comes out while he's fucking with Roman Reigns and says, hey, this is what we're going to do. We've got this 4-on-4 match for you guys already at Fastlane. If your team, Roman, if your team wins at Fastlane, the 4-on-4 match against the Wyatts, who are basically going to be our mercenaries, then your cousins will get their title shot. But they will have to beat the New Day 2-on-3 in a 2 out of 3 falls match. So even though they go in to Fastlane and win, we've still got a tremendous uphill battle story for the Usos going into WrestleMania, which I think is fucking great. Because I'd rather see them in a 2-on-3 match than a 2-on-2 and have all the outside interference bullshit. Because outside interference is going to end you in a disqualification. Rah-de-rah-de-rah. It's a good thing. Now here's the celebrity-ish match. Now, The Rock versus Triple H, and you guys know I've been pushing on this for days and days and days and weeks and weeks and weeks and months and months and months ever since they've gone face-to-face on Raw and SmackDown. Triple H will book himself in a match with Roman Reigns at the Royal Rumble. Nobody else can get the belt off Roman Reigns. I'll have to do it myself. Authority, the New Day, and the League of Nations all jump in on this match. Roman Reigns' family also jump in on this match, which is the precursor for the 4-on-4 at Fastlane. But the one who really comes in and turns the tables is The Rock. And because he's already announced he's going to be at WrestleMania, he comes out the next night, he's like, I'm tired of watching you fuck with my family. I'm going to be at WrestleMania anyways, because it's already been announced on Twitter and all that sort of thing. What are you doing that day, Triple H? Now, this takes Triple H's attention off of Roman Reigns just enough for us to not worry about interference in the main event. Rock versus Triple H. It's a match I want to see. I don't really care why it happens, but it all ties in nicely with the fact that Triple H and the Authority are fucking with Roman Reigns, who's related to The Rock, and you can really just tie it in that way. The same way as with Austin and Vince, anybody that ever came and helped Austin, like Mick Foley, for example, would also get the wrath of Vince McMahon. This is the new, as everybody has always said, and I don't even necessarily think that it's a bad thing that we're trying to make Stone Cold Roman Reigns. Obviously, he's going to have somebody in his corner as well. Might as well be The Rock. Everybody already assumes that, oh, he's getting where he is today because he's related to The Rock, rah, rah, rah. So you might as well play up on that and use it to give us Rock versus Triple H one more time. I think it'll be great. I think it'll be a great spectacle. And no, I don't think it should be the main event. I think it should be the Rock Hogan of this year's WrestleMania, if you want me to be honest. And last but not least, Kevin Owens leaves behind his Intercontinental title feud with Ambrose and Ziggler because he sees himself as being above it, and he's beaten both guys. He goes on, he barrels through the Royal Rumble and wins. He's kind of protected from the Royal Rumble to WrestleMania because at the very least, if the Authority couldn't get the title off Roman Reigns any other way, Kevin Owens can be sort of their hired gun and get it off him at that point. Also, we can always have a couple of little hints here and there that Kevin Owens is not American, so he's going to join the League of Nations. He never actually does it, but he convinces them enough that he will, just so that he has some help in his back pocket if he needs it. Now, on the other side of the coin, you've got Triple H, who has said, Roman Reigns, you're fighting me at the Royal Rumble. You're fighting the Wyatts along with your family, and all of their fates is on your line as well as your own. You will be stripped of the WWE Championship if you do not beat the Wyatts at Fastlane, and your cousins will be fucked, and your buddy will be stripped of his title. He perseveres through all that. He gets his big brother, cousin The Rock, to take Triple H out of his way for that one night only. He goes, he has a brutal brawl with Kevin Owens. I don't care who wins. I think the match will be great. This is my WrestleMania card. It's only my opinion. It's only me having a little bit of fun. By all means, if you guys want to throw your own fantasy cards down in the box below or do a response to this video, I would love that. Only thing is, with YouTube the way it is now, I won't see that it's a response unless you let me know. But if you do a response to this video, please message me and let me know so I can check it out. Otherwise, type your responses down in the box below. I hope you had a great New Year. I hope you had a little bit of fun listening to this, even though, as I say, it's a little bit of a ramble. Much like last year, much like it has been since 2010. I've been Spaz, your YWC reality check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation, keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I'll talk to each and every last one of you later. But for right now, and for the first time in 2016, I'm tagging out. Bye, guys.
You're a freak like me.